back to Where Credit is Due. Today, we're taking a hard look at best practices in credit risk mitigation, and we believe the timing couldn't be more relevant. Despite some signs of economic resilience, U.S. bankruptcy filings continue to elevated levels compared with historic norms, with an acceleration of business bankruptcies not seen since the banking crisis back in 2008, 2009. That kind of financial stress shows up first in credit portfolios, and credit teams are on the front lines of spotting and responding to it.
And Mike, I couldn't be happier to be on this topic. It's so relevant for this time frame for us, for all credit professionals. And that reality makes effective risk mitigation much more than just a best practice. It's actually a business imperative these days. And over the next few minutes, we'll walk through how to assess high-risk customers, structural tools you can use to reduce your exposure, how to tighten terms while protecting against preference risk, when and how to use slow pay promotional funding, especially if you're in the consumer products world, and how to shift customers from advancing to paying in arrears once incentives are earned. And we'll spend some time also talking about how to ethically leverage your professional network to spot trouble early, especially without creating any trade type risks that would be associated with that.
Oh, yeah, dead on there, Matt. And first off, we got to identify that high risk accounts, right? So
Mhm.
that high risk assessment starts with, and we talked about this in one of our previous podcasts, where you blend internal data, external intelligence, and customer sentiment. And then you've got your internal red flags, which include extended DSO, creeping short pays, irregular line usage, or margin compression. These are all early stage signals. If you haven't already, check that podcast on creating risk models that work to learn more on this subject.
And Mike, let's not forget the external side of that, right? So external sources matter just as much. And when you're thinking about this, things like bureau alerts, ownership changes, public filings, industry shifts, and banking conditions are all critical. Customers rarely fail in silence. There's usually something out there that shows you the risk, and there's something moving in the background that you can find and be alerted to.
Yeah, Matt. And then there's customer sentiment, slow responses, those vague stories, usually requests for terms extensions, or reluctance to provide updated financials. Those are all soft signals, but they often tell the truth faster than the numbers.
Now let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about terms changes and preference protection right now. It's really a critical topic and one that folks should really make sure they're educated on. When you reach that point of adjusting terms, it's what are you really trying to do, right? The goal isn't to punish the customer. It's really about protecting your business. It's protection. And in a distress situation, that protection includes more than just cash flow. It includes safeguarding against preference exposure if the customer ends up in bankruptcy.
Exactly. If you shorten terms or require quicker payment, one and the same, you must tie the change to new credible information indicating elevated risk. Document the reason internally, document the timing and the commercial justification. This strengthens your ordinary course of business and new value defenses later. Most importantly, you need to be at least a quarter ahead of a default in order to create a rock solid defense against preference exposure.
Good. Folks shouldn't forget what you just said, Mike. It's so important. And also make sure the revised terms apply consistently moving forward, not selectively. Consistency protects your position in the look back period, and that's so critical. Be consistent in what you do.
Absolutely. Clear communication is essential. You're aligning terms to the customer's current condition and protecting your organization from falling into a deep hole You may want to come up with a give get to gain alignment with your organization to then share with the customer. It helps to diffuse what will likely turn into an emotional and likely visceral response to your discussion.
You
Been
nailed
there,
it.
done that, Matt.
I think we all have, right? There's always an emotional side of this we need to stay away from. Yeah, let's hit another subject I think that is critically important for all credit professionals, and that's exposure management and structural mitigation tools. And another point is to avoid putting term changes in writing with your customer. When financial pressure rises, credit limits shouldn't stay static. Tiered exposure structures work well. As customers slide into higher risk buckets, you should have a company policy on how to consistently adjust trade limits or terms, defining your ordinary course defense.
And collateral tools like letters of credit, guarantees, escrows, cash on account are very effective when used with the right methods on the structure. They're not weapons, they're risk stabilizers, and you'll want to engage your local or external counsel on how to set them up to minimize or eliminate preference exposure. So, promo funding, slow pay offsets, and moving from advances to paying in arrears are all things you want to be thinking about, assuming your customer extends those types of funding. So we'll dig into something that doesn't get enough airtime. Slow paying promotional funding. Sounds a lot easier than actually it is. But when a customer is moving up on that default risk matrix, where possible, you want to offset your AR exposure with promotional funding that the customer has earned. Keyword there, earned. This is normally accomplished by off ticket rebates, volume discounts, or paying marketing dollars after they're earned.
Mike, such a critical and valuable tool, right? I mean, in many cases, you could start to slow these payments to the customer and build offset dollars against your AR balance dollar for dollar. It's a strategy that works if you have all the right legal language in your contracts with your customers. Again, a great tool to have available to you.
Oh, it works perfectly, assuming you have everything set up right. And here's another one, Matt. Moving customers off advance payments or pre-earned discounts and shifting them to that arrears-based credits. Advancing unearned incentives is really risky, especially if the customer is deteriorating. And quite frankly, they're going to want it even more. Another red signal for you. But when incentives are earned and paid in arrears, you protect margin and limit clawback exposure.
It's important to have these programs documented in a signed customer agreement, including language that they can't deduct. I want to emphasize that can't deduct. Again, it's important to have legal counsel craft the language, put you in the best position in the event a customer does default.
Yes, and I want to bring up another topic I know we covered in one of our previous podcasts as well was the power of the network. Credit people know this above all. The network sees things before the financial statements do. Industry peers, benchmarking groups, roundtables, these communities surface trends really early, and the price of admission is so small compared to the benefits that you could get from being a participant.
But this has to be handled with care. You're not sharing confidential information, not pushing panic, and definitely not coordinating trading behavior. That crosses the legal lines very fast and is very impactful to you and your company if you do. So be careful in this area.
Handled correctly, the network helps you spot patterns, tightening across industry, changes in payment behavior, shifts in banking conditions. It's intelligence, not coordination.
It sure is. And it helps you prepare, not to react. You strengthen reserves, you adjust exposures, and plan mitigation steps without creating pressure in the market. Planning is critical.
And I think this is how you can help build a message that wins with sales and finance support. Because sales and finance, they don't live in that credit world that we do. So the messaging has to meet them where they are. For sales, the pitch is simple. Risk mitigation protects their revenue, their commission, and the longevity of the customer relationship. Because at the end of the day, if you don't collect, it's donated.
Very funny, Mike. That's true. And for finance, the story's about the cash conversion cycle, your reserve impacts, earnings stability, and avoiding write-offs. Clean portfolios produce predictable financials, which of course everybody likes to be predictable. It certainly values well with the CFO.
And always, you want to bring options, not ultimatums. And this is internal with your team. You want to at least come up with 3 mitigation paths with clear business impacts that get far better traction than starting the meeting with your sales team saying, hey, we're cutting credit.
So true, Mike. I love that one. Let's start to wrap this up a little bit. Credit risk mitigation isn't about saying no. It's about how to get to yes by managing exposure intelligently so the business can say yes, but it can say yes safely. We have a detailed on-demand course here at the foundation that goes deep into risk mitigation from the account acquisition right through to the account disposition. The class can be found on our website at crfonline.org. The course is titled Managing AR Risk Mitigation. Again, it covers from beginning to end on what you can and how you do it to mitigate that risk with your customers.
Yes, Matt. And, it's a class that can help a junior or even a slightly seasoned credit person obtain the insight and strategies to help manage the mitigation process. We had stressed earlier just about economic conditions, all these bankruptcies, and there's a lot of new people in new seats who really need to learn how to traverse this delicate market. And like we stressed here, strong assessment, structured terms, preference aware documentation, smart use of promotional funding, maybe getting cash on account, and the quiet strength of a well connected network all makes the difference.
It sure does. Mike, I'm going to change the topic slightly. This is such an important topic for folks. I do suggest they take a look at the class that we had just referenced out there. But I do want to talk about something that we have coming up, and we're going to have a conversation with a published author. If you were at our last forum, you had the opportunity to see Peter Hodge, who wrote White Blaze Leadership, just a phenomenal book itself and a tremendous speaker. And we're going to have a conversation with him on that book. Everybody will get a chance to think about leadership slightly differently than potentially you do today. And again, just a great leadership topic for folks. So I'm looking forward to that one.
As you're looking to maybe some New Year's resolutions, or you want to just start the new year or the quarter off with enhancing your soft skills, you can never go wrong. So look forward to having you join us for that one. And we wanted to thank you for joining us on Where Credit is Due. We'll see you next time when we're off subject and we're getting into leadership, which is so important in the world we live in. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe.